Well, if they don't hear us, then they don't know we were supposed to have started. Hello. All right. Hello
Yeah.
and welcome to the latest cast in the 2022 Spy Party Summer Cup. We've got two group stage matches coming right up for you. First, it's going to be the known data fiend Wobble, close to my heart, up against competitive veteran Nanthelas in Group D, followed by the all-Lithuania showdown of Catnip and Pofke over in Group H. My name is Warning Track. I am in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it is appropriately for the Summer Cup, very warm and sunny. And I'm joined by the creator of this fine tournament, Royal Flush, who is across the pond, where it is, let's be honest, so often neither of those things. How's the weather where you are, Your Highness?
Good afternoon, Morning Track. I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you because it is a pleasant, I'd say 23 degrees. My computer's telling me 21, but I had a couple of weddings this afternoon that I was playing at, I had my jacket off for most of them. So, yeah, appropriately warm for the Summer Cup, which is always nice. We've had a bit of a heat wave the last couple of weeks, which has been very nice, actually. I'm a little bit of a sun worshipper, and I know a lot of British people go, "Oh, it's too warm for me. I like it warm, but not this warm." I'm not one of those guys. Give me the sun any day. I'm more than happy with that.
Wow, warm and sunny over there. The first shocker of the match. I'm sure there'll be others throughout the cast, but already surprises already that it's nice in both places across the Great Atlantic. Yeah, let's get into this. It's Wobble Nanthelas right away. Wobble is known for building a lot of cool data tools. Very much endears him to me specifically. I love those fun tools, and everyone in the community does, and he shares them with us. Has run some fun events himself, and Nanthelas has just been around for a really long time. And you and I know, because this describes you and I, those wily old veterans have a lot of like institutional knowledge, and whether they're rusty or not can surprise you.
So one that finds it very interesting playing against new people because obviously I've been a little bit out of the loop for the last couple of years. I've been sort of off doing different things, exploring different things, starting my own streaming thing in the quizzing world. But Spy Party's always had a very special place in my heart. I think I saw it in a PC Gamer magazine in like 2010 or something,
Mm.
back when it was in pre alpha. Thinking I must play this game immediately, and I think I was in the very last batch of closed beta people about a week before it went into open beta. Um, and I loved it, and I just think it's such a marvelous game, and it's so nice to. I'm very grateful to Opie, who's sort of taken over curation of the Summer Cup after I sort of took a step back. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity for inviting me back to come and commentate on this. Again, I will stress, not played the game for a couple of years. So I'm likely to be rusty, and I don't think I was ever the best caster ever, even back when I did know what was going on. So that it might largely be Track doing the analysis and me occasionally heckling. But
Well,
I'll do my best and have a good time.
as long as you don't say things like fingerprint. When did they add that? I think we're going to be fine. Would
Oh,
not
is
worry
that?
about it.
No, I'm not quite that. I was going to say, has that been taken out now, or have
No,
any?
no, it is not. I just wanted to make sure you were still familiar with all
I,
8 missions.
I don't know if some of them have changed, possibly. So there may be some surprises for me. I know that there have been some changes that I caught on the wind, but and perhaps less au fait with having not played them myself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this very much as well. And maybe we'll all come away and we'll all learn something. And the real winners will be the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely. And one venue that has not changed very much, it's still 4 of 8. It's still Ballroom. It's the classic. It's the first. You all know it. Most of you love it. Some of you really, really love it, including the man who took over this tournament from you, as you mentioned a moment ago. It's going to be Wobble as the spy, as Teal in Ballroom against Nanthelas. Are you two gentlemen ready?
Yes,
Ready
whenever you
when
are.
you are.
All right, count it down in 3, 2, 1. Playing it. That famous phrase, made famous by Taboshi, of course, and we've all adopted it since, become a bit of a calling card for the community. Here is Wobble staring out at windows, taking a sip of her drink, and just standard little cast lowlights coming out from Nanthelas. Slow start, but mission density in Ballroom very high. You can definitely afford to idle because you're never too far from anything. You can see Nanthelas zooming in on the list early on, paying close attention to that purloin. This low viewing angle on Ballroom makes it very easy to miss. We've requested a drink early on. I wonder if we're going to try to purloin very early in this game.
I think
Banana
that's
bread.
I mean, my experience of playing in Ballroom is that you either purloin in the first 5 seconds or in the last 5 seconds, which is obviously is not a foolproof strategy and is not anything anyone should pay any heed to. But in terms of they're wandering off, which is likely meaning the request is going to be cancelled because when you leave the conversation circle, any drink request gets cancelled, unless I'm wrong about that.
No, I think pretty much any movement at all. You could see the fake contact come off too. I think the idea was to cover, but we didn't time it quite right. Toby maybe took too long with the previous one, and we abandoned our plan. Got a green flirt in instead. That's going to get that halfway done. And you could say we gave up 3 lowlights for the privilege of even thinking about doing that purloin, which we did not. We're over at Blue Bookshelves now. Are we really thinking about doing microfilm here? No, we're going for a fingerprint instead. There is a clean fingerprint, or at least it was clean. Now we have it. That mission's halfway done. About 2 minutes left on the clock, and you got to imagine that's the only reason we want that book. Yes, going right back in, but we're going to be watching for those fingerprints the rest of the game.
So it's going to be a great opportunity. There was half an opportunity there to bug the ambassador, but obviously, when the ambassador's deep at the back of the ballroom, right there, you've got to think that's an opportunity to take it. But of course, elicits quite a lot of suspicion, even if nothing is seen. But I think it's when you've got Taft right there at the back of the ballroom, a walk over to the green bookcase can give off a lot of suspicion. But that would have been my opportunity to try and think about. I'm going to go and bug. Although picking up a highlight here, presumably from that second fingerprint. How are we doing on time? Just coming up to a minute and a half. We've just gone a minute and a half left. And we just got, well, we're sort of 2 missions. There goes the banana bread coming off right there. So banana bread, and we've got fingerprints done. We're halfway towards a seduction and 1 more statue, though one would think any more visits to the statue is going to earn us a bullet at this point.
Yep, possible bug attempt as the ambassador walks by us. We do not take it, though. Oh, they do stand there with a little bit of pillar cover. This is very tempting. Instead, we're going to take an innocent drink, and it's not going to matter because this so often happens. Smallman does enough to get shot, but to be perfectly honest, Wobble was in a pretty solid position there already with fingerprint and contact done.
Nice. I have to say, I was not paying attention to Smallman, but I forget how suspicious he becomes by dint of doing anything at all. So because he is so sneaky and devious and gets away with murder. I remember the meme. I think it was Kaylee posted the meme all those years back when in what's the one with the in the Japanese sort of room with the sliding things.
Yeah, Tan, and it was where he does 3 missions behind someone completely invisible and says, "This is so fair."
Getting away with it.
Can't keep getting away with it.
Right,
yep. I was the one who put that together. I remember, and yeah, that little meme. Hey, famous last words. I wasn't even paying attention to Smallman. A lot of people have lost a game right after saying that. Nanthelas was paying attention to Smallman, but they were mistaken. It's 1-0 Wobble. Now they're going to switch roles. Nanthelas is not going to be Smallman, not going to be Teal. It's going to be Andrew Ryan or Walt Disney, depending on what you call him. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. What do you call him?
That's always the interesting thing. I always went for Andrew Ryan because I'm just the biggest BioShock fan ever, but I think Disney's an appropriate nickname as well. I think there was some contention one time when center statues early on. That's
oh, and a bug, by the way, chaos bug. We're already done, and we don't seem to have any suspicious for it. And nonetheless, you've got to imagine if they're not suspect number 1, they're already out to a big lead.
One's got to think that if you get away with a bug there, and maybe Nanthelas doesn't know that they've gotten away with the bug, going to center statues is a good way to try and sort of double down on getting some heat. But picking up all 3 inspects here without breaking a sweat does pick up a highlight, but we're halfway to being done, and we've still got 3 minutes on the clock, best part of. Yeah, I think I got into some trouble, actually, when I put the nicknames on the characters during one of the tournaments, and there was one character, I can't remember who it was, that was profoundly disagreed with. It might have been Andrew Ryan. I forget which one it was now, but people were upset. Oh, don't call him Andrew Ryan, you mustn't. So I said, right, okay, fine, I'm just going to call them Mr. I think it was when I was doing the tournament picker tool. I called him Andrew Ryan, and then I said, right, I'll just use the Mr. A, etc., and then no one can be sad.
People have strong feelings about these things, to say the least. And yeah, I like kind of going right to center statues afterwards. You know, poker players will say they'll put out a bet to find out where they are, sort of get some feedback from the other players. And this is sort of an example of that. And Checker, of course, has famously compared this game to poker more than once. We have 2 flirts in the meantime. There was a white test first and then a green. It's going to get us up to 85% there. And we're going to go back to statues, probably just to look innocuous.
Going to that seduction target right there next to the painting, that is a bold move. Looks like it pays off, though, as we finish up the... not quite finish up the flirt, beg your pardon, 85%, so 1 more going to be required. Can get to the opposite side of this circle where the twin is. That's probably where I'd go now, finish off the flirt from a distance. But we're going for a contact here, by the looks of it. Got to wait to get a little bit more noise. I mean, it's a good time to do it. We've got a lot of busy circles and only 1 suspected DA outside. Great time to contact, and there it goes. It comes off. We're going to grab a drink, and... oh, something's happening on the screen there. Oh, and it's happened, and it's passed.
That's all right. Ignore the scenes. Nothing to see here behind the curtain. There are no curtains. Yeah, the contact comes off. It's a good contact, except that only one SDA is in any of the conversations, so only 3 or 4 people have a reel. And you can see Wobble zooming in on that list as well on an innocent drink take. I don't think they suspect the bug at all, or they would have shot by now. It's going to be one little flirt across the conversation here. Very nice. Any flirt that takes is at least 17%, so this will get it done. But you can see Nanthelas just a little nervous, taking their time with 1 full minute left. Gotta hope the suction target doesn't leave. They have an opportunity to if they take the drink. They do not, though. Target is seduced. We're in the countdown. The bug is not suspected, and this is going to be a win for Nanthelas to even things up.
Nice play here, finishing up with the flirt from a distance. I mean, I've always been curious about the benefits of finishing a flirt and doing a stop talk while there. I mean, what's your sort of opinion on that? Because that's the sort of play I would make if I was worried I was about to be shot. I might
Yes.
do a flirt and then stop talk and hope that it's missed. But of course, if you're caught in the midst of a stop talk at that point in the game, it generally means death.
Yeah, I mean, you generally see it on 2 extremes. You see it on balcony, where getting away with a talk can be the difference very easily between winning and losing, and you see it on bigger venues or venues with a lot of occlusion where it's not likely to be seen anyway, so the risk is so low. But I think you're right. I think that stop talk probably indicates that Nanthelas was a little worried that they were a bigger suspect than they were. We know that was pretty much just a rote statue highlight, though, and when they got that bug off, all they had to do was complete those 3 soft tells clean to even the match up, and that's exactly what they did. Now we are going to move on to Veranda. Wobble back on the Spy, playing as Seek in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Love Veranda, the original big map, if memory serves. This was back in the old art days as well. We'd have a bit of Veranda, and yeah, the original big.
Sorry, let me interrupt you right there. Green Pearl into the start of the game, like you predicted earlier in the first 5 seconds.
Do it in the first 5 of the last 5. Got to be done. I completely missed that, but was it a white? Because we don't have a drink, so no, it must have been green.
It was a green. We greened and walked away, and it has taken since. And I'm not sure if Nanthelas has seen it yet, because who expects it quite that fast, even for an early Pearl? That was very fast. And there's a walking bug as well. While Nanthelas is working on their lighting, I don't think that was seen either. I think we have 2 free hardtails in the first minute of Veranda.
That's a solid play. And have we had a timeout, or do you start with 4 minutes in Veranda these days?
No, you start with a lot more, yeah. Above 4 minutes, I would say. On a lot of formats, at least. It does vary slightly. We have seen time tweaks. There's a swap, too. We're going all in on the hardtails. We're alone on that side of the venue, but it's going to be seen in just a second because the only person walking away, Nanthelas hasn't looked at it yet because almost everyone else is in this side of the venue. The statue is now visible, and there's been no reaction. Are we going to start getting low lights? We have a red on the contact. It's a cough, but it's off screen.
The mouse shape. Oh.
It's a fake, too. Oh, my goodness.
This is a story.
This is a game like this.
See, get shot now. This is a story of great hubris. You get off the three invisible hardtails, and then you cough. And he's still alive, though. He's still alive, and he has not been shot yet. Oh, sorry, has not even been highlit yet. That's I've got to say, that's surely Wobble's going to be counting that as a result at this point to avoid the highlight altogether.
Nanthelas shaking the camera angrily. The cough and the swap both happened on the left, while there was almost the entire party was on the other side of the venue, so it was well timed there. But Nanthelas kind of eschewing that entire side if there weren't enough people there, and Wobble jumped all over it. We have a boring white flirt now, and that's all we need to do is flirt and contact potentially. We could finish inspect too.
Yeah, I mean, it's an inspect is probably what I would go for over a contact try. I mean, although that having been said, having already had a contact come off, maybe that's probably the better path to do, because we're now not expecting it, assuming that the red test would have taken. Because a red test with a cough, it's still a contact if it's a valid contact, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. But it was not. So, right, the question is, the silent game, so to speak, is already out. And you can see a lot of lowlights did come off from that, at least. So that is the one thing we have to be worried about here, is that we're narrowed down, and we might be one of the only people finishing inspects that isn't low-lit. There's a fingerprint on that. I don't even think we want that. That is additional heat for a mission we don't need.
Do finish off the inspects. Do we pick up the fingerprint as well, just in case? So we've got a lot of options open to us here. Another fingerprint, a final flirt, a contact. Would it be the sort of chance of Wobble actually going for maximum hubris here and trying to do a hard swap at this point?
Oh, no, yeah.
That
6 missions or more, yeah. I mean, it's probably just going to be a flirt. We're going to wait for a nice open conversation where there's no risk. I could see right here, look, there's only 2 there with the suction target. If they don't leave after this drink, we're going to be fine. We're going to stand across from them, and this has echoes of the previous game, of course, albeit with a different player. Going to be really hard to shoot for this. Nanthelas was shaking their camera angrily about a minute ago, and you can see why. They are lost in this one.
And that'll be a win for Wobble. Nicely done there. And again, not even a highlight. Whether suspicion was there and just leaving off the highlight and keeping a mental tally of them. But really, really solid play from Wobble there with those 3 early hardtails being a great help to them in this, and halfway towards finishing off a fingerprint as well, and managing, for all intents and purposes, to get a silent completion on Veranda. Top work.
Top work indeed. 5.5 missions done, 3 hardtails, and as you said, not even a highlight to show for it. That's 3 for 3 on Spy wins so far. Let's see if we can actually get a sniper win on Veranda. I can't believe I have to beg for that. Going to be Nanthelas spying, playing his buns in 3, 2, 1, playing it. If ever the Spies were going to stop winning, you'd think it'd be a Veranda game, but we're already 0 for 1 on that count.
Sorry, buns?
That's what I call her. I used to say boots, and then people pointed out to me several characters have boots, so I couldn't argue with the logic.
She does have the best boots, I have to admit.
She does have the best boots, correct, just not the only ones.
Not the only one with boots.
I mean, you could argue that Ponytail over there, Alice, has the most prominent boots, so a little tricky.
Isn't Alice named after an actual person?
Yes, the girlfriend of the artist John Cimino, who I've had the privilege of meeting, lovely woman, and obviously a favored character as well. It's very strange, by the way, to meet someone you've shot that many times. White time that early for Nanthelas. We are at Blue Bookshelves using that time.
Yeah, it's a fairly steady start, just an innocuous checking of the phone in the case of boots or buns here. A casual look at the bookcase. Not really much going on. Opportunity for a bug right there, and did it take? It did not take. The arm went out, but nothing took. Is it going to earn them some heat? Was it seen?
Hard to say. Wobble was zoomed in on it, though. They were certainly concerned about the bug, and now they are really, really trying to keep Nanthelas on screen. This feels like they're baiting the microfilm a little bit. I am worried that they probably saw that bug attempt. Wasn't super visible, but they were looking for it, and that's usually enough. But it is Veranda. I'm going to go back and forth here and argue with myself about whether or not that bug was visible a few more times. We do have fingerprint off this briefcase. We're going to cheese it just a little bit. No, we're actually going to try to walk it back. We're going to have to get pretty close here, and then we're going to see that the ambassador is at statues, and that's going to go down, and Wobble hasn't really noticed it too much yet.
Yeah, Wobble has got to be under the assumption that, and there comes the highlight actually coming off. I was going to say, they've got to be under the assumption that they are suspicious at this point. And if it were me, I'd be thinking, this is the problem when one plays this game as the spy, one automatically assumes everything is seen by everyone at all times. And so a bug that doesn't come off, I'm thinking, is more likely to have been seen than a bug that did come off, which doesn't really make much logical sense. But the highlight is there, and at the moment, we're coming up to 2.5 minutes now, just under 3 minutes to go. Not really much to show for it. We've got a fleur and we've got a fingerprint and nothing else. We are going to have to start thinking about making something of a move at some point soon. But when you're under the gaze of that laser and you think you're being burned by it and you're highlighted, that can be a very, very difficult thing to do to get up and go. What's your play here as a vet of the game? What would you do? What would Warning do?
This is easier said than done, but I am was constantly reminding myself that I was never as suspicious as I thought I was. Incidental laser movement was usually all it was. Usually, you just want to go ahead and go. I don't practice the mindless aggression that I know several in the community tout quite a bit, but having a bias towards action and assuming that things were not seen does serve you well more often than not. We do have a little chunk of the flirt there. We're up to 76%, but you're right. Relative to time, relative to that highlight, relative to mission progress, looking pretty rough here right about now.
I mean, opportunity for a hard transfer here. I'm quite sure the laser's sort of not on us right now. Oh, no, Anna wrong. Laser's sort of over there.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Hard transfer. I mean, we've got some cover with the pillar and with Toby, but if we go for a hard transfer, maybe wander it off, wander it back, put it onto red. Maybe if we weren't seen at green, then we can get one there, and then we've got a contact, and then we've got to do something else as well as finishing our soft tails here. I think we're going to be needing a time ad or something resembling a miracle if Wobble's going to get anywhere close to completing. Sorry, if Nan's going to get anywhere close to completing. Sorry, it hasn't updated the overlay. No, I read the wrong name. But yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I mean, look, one thing that's worth noting here is that Wobble has been zooming in on the ambassador a lot as people bump into them, so that indicates they do not particularly suspect the bug from earlier. So that is something, but we still have a minute left and scant progress. This book is going to have to go into red, and even then we're going to have to rush around to get it out. The only saving grace is that we got away with that time ad.
We did get the time left, and we have to finish off the flirt, and there's a chance to bug the ambassador when we put the wrong book back. But of course, that is being watched like nobody's business. Chance here as we pan around. Are we going to make the most of it? Get off a bug on a wrong bookshelf? Are we going? No, we're not.
No, this makes sense. It makes a lot more sense to induce a shot, but the thing about the timeout is this is an extended game on Veranda. You're really just hoping for a civ shot. You're probably not hoping for a mission complete, and there we are. We're all over the book. We were watching them quite a bit. That was a quick green leave earlier, maybe enough to rouse suspicion, and we get shot for what wasn't anywhere near a potential mission win countdown, and my lord, we have it, a sniper victory.
Good patience there from Wobble. Sitting tight, waiting for the confirmation. And this is an interesting thing, and something that I never fully appreciated from the game back from my my playing days, is that the general sort of etiquette is that one should generally wait until you think the spy is done before pulling off a shot. And I think this was always my problem as a sniper, is that if I just sort of wait until I've got a smoking gun, like a book going to the wrong bookshelf or a bug that I see, it's telling that I was whilst I've been around a while, I'm not in the same league as yourself and Kaylee, and maybe actually that's why, is because my playing strategy was stand and wait until you've definitely seen something, and I haven't got the capacity to hold in all that much visual information in one go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, have you ever tried playing with a different strategy and just sort of wait until you're sure, or?
Yeah, occasionally, but mission win counting, or mission counting, they call it normally, yeah. And the problem is, it is brittle, because if you wait for the final mission, if your count is off by 1, it's all over. So it's all about your risk tolerance and your own confidence in your tracking. I never had that level of confidence, so I was usually happy to shoot when I was pretty sure, when I'd reached some kind of confidence threshold, mission regardless. But if I do catch a bug early, particularly in a competitive match, I don't necessarily want them to know that's what I shot for. So I normally wait until the first point it's plausible they're done, even assuming I missed something, and that's when I would shoot.
You're comparing it to poker earlier on, but this is definitely a game of chess if you're not giving away strategies for use in matches later on. If you say, no, I didn't shoot you for that, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah, you try to hide it sometimes. You want them to think they got away with it. You want them to do it again the next game. It is a lot of games in one, certainly. And we do have another game right here. It is Wobble, spying on pub. You can see this is 3 of 6 in this format here with the Summer Cup. We do see some playing around with formats from OP's tournaments in particular. We've seen this with the group stages in a couple of different cups now. And as you can see, microfilm and fingerprint are off. So yes, bug, swap, and purloin are available. Wobble playing as Smallman. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Wobble has not played a lot of pub competitively, only 5 games in my data set at least. Has reached countdown on one of them, though.
Surely this is high rise, though, not pub.
I'm sorry. Yes, correct. I often...
So this is the new pub that I've not seen before. But hang on,
no.
High rise.
I don't know why. I think because they're normally 3 mission variants, I group them together in my head a little bit.
That makes a certain amount of sense. I've often wondered where the sniper actually is. Are they sort of on a drone?
I think the idea, I mean, I always like to think they were in a skyscraper across the way. But a lot of the positions that the sniper's in on these venues, you're right, they're only explained by drones, potentially. So we know drones have to be involved whether they're on this venue or not.
Which is, it's a remarkable act of foresight from Checker, because I'm pretty sure this game was invented before drones.
It certainly weren't widespread yet, yeah, so we were definitely... Maybe it was nanobots when he conceived of it of some kind, I don't know.
I wouldn't have put it past Checker to invent the drone just so that the internal logic of his game made sense.
He's got the chips for it. There's a bug attempt, by the way, but it's Smallman, so I don't think it was even seen. No mission progress, though, with a little under 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, it's a fast timer here on High Rise. I think that this was always one of my favourite maps, actually, to play, because there's so much variety that you can put in it in terms of changing up the missions, and say it's very interesting leading on those hardtail missions this time around, which is going to be giving Nan a lot of things to remember in terms of tracking books and tracking statues. But not having to pay attention quite so much to the briefcase here. Smallman just sort of chilling out, really, not really bothering about a drink, just letting the time run down, which is it can be good strategies to lose some heat, but at some point you are going to have to do some missions here, Wobble.
Yeah, probably. Well, so it's interesting you say that. You mentioned the mission setup. the meta has evolved here, as you can see, where Bug, Swap, and Purloin in particular are on instead of Fingerprint, which gives you another rush mission other than Bug that you can do late. So that kind of feeds into the slow play that you were just talking about. There's a fake right there. You can Bug and Purloin at the end of the game now and get a lot of missions done very quickly, whereas you couldn't if you were leaving Fingerprint on. Eventually, people kind of were wise to the fact that AIs just did not complete Fingerprint often enough for it to be that valuable. You'd rather have that second escape hatch, basically, with another hardtail you can do quickly.
Again, we're sort of almost invisible there behind Kane there. Sam, no, not Salmon Danger. It's Papa Danger. That's the one. Opportunity for a bug here. Great chance to bug. Great. Yeah, we are. We know. We do pull it off.
White Purloin. White Purloin. Is it being watched? We're zooming in. There it is. Oh no! We shoot. We shot Toby.
Oh!
Wow.
Let's clutch my pearls. What on so we've got away with the bug almost, but even though we've got to be suspicious of that, and then the white purloin is seen, and Toby just steps into the wrong place at the wrong time. In fact, it doesn't look like Small Man's even on screen as the shot comes off. The general's in the way as well. Have we got a little bit of dancing going on there? Is this what we're trying to do? We're trying to throw the civilian. Is that the strategy here?
Well, I think so, and what's funny about that is that the idea is normally this would be the final mission and you kind of force them into a panic shot, but we know, Nanthelas doesn't know, that they were not in Mission Win Countdown. The flirt had gone a little slower than expected, so it wasn't done. They could have waited them out there, but they don't know that, so instead they take... I understand it's a tough shot, but it also came off surprisingly quick given the amount of occlusion, the sheer number of bodies, as you pointed out, with General as well, playing Clint Eastwood in the line of fire to our Smallman spy. Poor Toby does get kind of blamed, though. On one hand, he was responsible for that list and did allow it to be Purloin, so I guess there is a certain amount of justice to it.
Poor Toby. Not only has he just taken a bullet there, but he's the only one other than the security guard who still hasn't managed to get a facelift yet, and he's living in the last generation. A moment of silence for Toby. Thank you for that moment of silence for Toby.
Yeah, well, their faces are so smooth and tight that it looks like they've had a very, very bad facelift in a way, and out of the waitstaff there, as you mentioned, the only one that does any work, as far as we can tell, the security agent just watching people die left and right. In that case, it's his coworker who takes the bullet. That is absolutely heartbreaking, metaphorically for the player as well too. We're still on high rise. It's not pub, as I said earlier. Apologies again. Nanthelas, the spy, white dress, one of the slowest characters in the game, but it doesn't matter on a venue like this. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Boy, you hate to see that, but it's also very entertaining.
Nonetheless, with some work to do here now, facing a 3-point deficit as we come into... Is Summer Cups, is it played out? Is it still played out all late?
Yeah, I believe so. Just for tiebreakers,
12,
potentially.
Actually. It's not 8 anymore.
Yes.
It's 12.
It did get expanded recently, yes. They did. That is one tweak they made to your rule set. I like it pretty well. I always remember thinking the 8 games felt a little quick, but understandable in the group stages, and they've expanded it just a little. But I do want to note before we get too far into this game, though, that Nanthelas has played a couple dozen high-rise games competitively over the various cups and SCLs, has only reached Countdown in 2 of them. So their strategy is usually to try to get someone shot, and to that end, no fingerprint on, but obviously all the other Softail missions are.
Yeah, I've always been slightly wary of playing as the Helen Mirren character. Pearls, I think, is the generally accepted nickname. By dint of the fact that you said she is the slowest character in the game. Is Sari even slower, or is Pearls actually slowest?
I don't remember, but they are basically neck and neck. No irony intended based on the pearls. Someone else pointed out to me that several characters wear pearls as well, so I had to abandon that. I've had to relearn so many nicknames based on my own casting procedures, which I've been hoisted on more than once now.
I mean, the difficulty of having a slow character, as you say, is that if you get into sort of a panic at the end, the rush can become much more difficult, which more often than not seems to be a strategy I end up employing. But, as you pointed out, on a map this size, it doesn't really make that much difference. But I think one does tend to still gravitate towards certain characters and away from other ones for reasons other than just their speed or their stature. I mean, for example, I always really enjoyed playing as one of the twins. That's a sort of one to go for. General and Seek. Also, amongst two of my favourite characters. I mean, do you have a favourite? And if you do, would you be prepared to share it in such a public domain?
Well, I haven't played competitively in a while, so I don't mind. I was always partial to Buns, and specifically because I felt like nobody liked her, nobody suspected her. She felt neutral, but also a little underrated in a few ways. Mostly because of her stature. She was easy to have her hide behind men, larger men at the party, get bugs off. I always picked her a little disproportionately for that reason, but I know a lot of the higher-end spies, specifically, they avoid good or bad characters. They like boring, neutral ones. There's a fake coming off, by the way. Damon almost gets shot for a second, but instead it's just going to be a civilian, and Wobble gives it right back.
Yeah, I feel like I steered the conversation away from the match at that point. There, my bad.
That's all right.
The shot coming off there, and it reminded me though when we got the zoom in there that Wheels is another character I think I've played once in my entire career, just because I don't understand how to control the character.
He's one of the least popular characters. It is. It's not just you. Don't worry.
So, nonetheless, managing to pull one back there, making it 4-2. And as we move into Aquarium, one of the latest maps to be added, although it's been a little while since we've seen new maps added. I don't know if more are on the horizon, likewise characters, but this one of 3 maps introduced to really play with the idea of occlusion. One of the other ones being Redwoods, and the other one being Track is now going to tell you.
The Shoji setup one, yes. One of the prettiest venues for my money.
Which has got that element of RNG in it as well, with the shutters being determined at random. I believe they are. There's a random setup that can be employed, which is picked for any given match. Of course, this one, you've got the shark in the way, so you get some free time, but of course, that in turn leads to its own sort of meta about, okay, what was hidden there? I have to assume something was done. Must confess, I've not played this map an awful amount. I've seen a little bit of it, and I've played it a little bit, but not a lot. So I think I will probably leave this one over to you. I sort of know it peripherally, but I think I'm going to leave you to do the fine analysis on this, and I think I'll probably just heckle. But we've got Wobble lined in as Seek, and yes, I'm taking over the start of the match. I'm feeling a little more confident in my casting abilities now, and then I'm going to shut up for the rest of it. Wobble in as Seek, as the spy, and we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
I'm sure you'll come up with something. It's a very amusing map. The one thing about the occlusion here is that unlike these kind of semi-random aspect you mentioned earlier, this shark is on a schedule. It is a very well-trained shark, and if there are no time adds, you know exactly at what points in the match it's going to be over this part or that part. You know where it's going to be at the end, and you can plan accordingly. So that was part of the idea of the occlusion here, was to let the spy plan their cover a little more. That's an early flirt for Wobble. It's just a white test. We're across from our seduction target, but we'll take it because we didn't really have to work for it or sidle up next to them. The shark is going across the middle right now. They always start top right or bottom left. They started top right this time, at least from the sniper's perspective. Sniper can see that. Spy can see that. As I said, plan accordingly. But without a little bit of practice, it can be a little hard to tell the height or depth of the shark there. We are across the bottom now. We're not moving. It looks like we're just going to stick around. Nope. As soon as I say that, I look foolish. Wobble walks away, and it looks like we might go into either bookshelves or statues here. It is going to be a bookshelf. It's going to be blue books. And this is mostly covered by the shark. Are we going to try to get out of there covered by the shark? No, we're going to stick around, though. So we have been seen here. And we're going to do a microfilm animation as the shark comes back around out of the same corner it entered.
I was thinking maybe going into bookshelves there. We're gonna get seen at bookcases, but we're gonna wait until the shark is covering us to actually get that microfilm out of the bookcase. Heading over to the bar now. I think we're just going to try and lose a bit of heat. We've managed to avoid a highlight so far, but presumably we're going to be on the periphery here. Opportunity to purloin here, which we don't take. We're just going to head on back. And maybe an opportunity to set up with the suspected double agent here. Of course, we don't know, or we as Seek rather, don't know who the suspected double agent is. But this could be a good opportunity to test the waters. We're not going to take that, though. And we're going
We
to
did take the purloin delegate, though, so we do have that option. But we didn't take the drink, which could potentially get us in trouble if the sniper had seen it. But I don't think they have, so... Gotta wonder who the victim is going to be here. Right now we're next to our seduction target. It would be a real shame to chat them up and then send them to their death at the bar, but we're spies. We are remorseless. They walk away anyway. That might save their lives, and Buns might be the victim, but she has a book, which means if we do delegate to her, she's going to have to slam that in there. So this might ruin our purloin plans, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be a problem because we wanted to get microfilm done anyway. I will say, even though you can't see those microfilm animations when timed to the shark, very suspicious to be at both shelves when the shark happens to go by. It's circumstantial, but it's very suspicious. Wobble now, with those plans potentially dashed, has about 90 seconds left and has to make a bit of a decision about what to do next.
We are a little bit behind on time. We are going to look like we're going to try and get some cover from Cowboy right here. Tex, I think I used to call him.
Yep.
What is the cooldown time on the
Comes the shark.
delicate?
It's about a minute, I believe. And there is a white transfer with partial cover from the shark, but Nanthelas is so worried about the ambassador also being covered that we've clearly gotten away with it. We have suspiciously been at both cases near the shark, and we're going to bug as we walk by. Nanthelas was not zoomed in that time, and here we go again. 2 hardtails, and we don't even have a highlight, and it's Seek again, just like last time.
So where do we go from here, though? We've got a contact as an easy option. Hard purloin at the end, maybe. Not going to chance, maybe rushing in. Specs going to a center statue. Do we get center statues here? Yes. No,
we do not. So it would take 2 visits, and with the flirt done just a moment ago, I think we're going to try to join with this double agent right here. It is the aforementioned Pearls, Helen Mirren, White Dress, whatever you call her. She is low-lit. She's the real double agent. Here comes the shark. There's 30 seconds left. You've got to take this here, and we're not even a suspect, I don't think. It's another red! It's another red! Like the turban, once again, a red test contact, but it looks like we're going to get away with it both times. Nanthelas shakes the camera angrily. 3 seconds left. Wobble. Seek twice. Multiple hardtails twice. Red contacts twice. Spy wins twice.
Cool. And you know what? I only just remembered in that last second of that match that this is only a 4-mission win. I was thinking, where are we going after the contact for the 5th? We've got to go back for the purloin. But no, we only need 4 rather than 5. So that's my bad for not knowing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that red test. Second time as Seek as well, if memory serves.
Yes, yep. It had so much in common with that Veranda game. It was faintly hilarious, actually. And both times, Wobble's just sitting there thinking, I have to just finish the soft tells clean, and it's an easy win. And they create drama out of thin air both times, but it all ends up okay in the end. Wobble kind of running away with this a little bit now, 5-2. Nanthelas has to stop the bleeding, playing as Green Dress on Aquarium in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Thank you for giving me the countdown back. I appreciate it. You took good care of it.
I just sort of took it without permission. I just thought,
That's
I could do it. I could do it. It should be now. If you're going to do it, it should be now. Do it now. Yep. Oh, it felt very exhilarating.
But it felt very natural because you had the nice post-match commentary there, and it made sense for you to just swing right into it. I think you read it perfectly.
I feel relieved having relinquished it back to you. An early visit to bookcases here for Green Dress, who is not allowed to be called Irish, if memory serves. That became a point of contention at one point, I believe.
Yeah, look, it depends on who you want to make mad. I don't mind making people mad personally. Yes, she's always been Irish to me internally, but as a caster, I do want to say the most obvious thing to describe a character for people who don't necessarily know, new people who are coming in. I know we get mostly diehards in here, but we do get new people sometimes, so my rule of thumb is always, would a new person be able to tell who I'm talking about with no community knowledge? And to that end, she is Green Dress indeed. She also got a Green Flirt. That's halfway done, and she's delegating the Purloin before walking away. Let's see if she goes right back to that spot next to the General, the other guy in green, who is still available. No! Spurns us in advance, walks away, and now we're going to have to send this Purloin somewhere else eventually. But first, we're going to go to Windows and think it over.
Replan, rerouting there. Very quick re-decision from Nanthelas, having to decide to abandon that flirt attempt when General.
I heard the GPS noise. Rerouting, right at the fly. Yeah.
Yes, maybe U-turn where possible.
There's a Purloin. That is a drive-by Purloin behind the shark, I believe. We enter the conversation, delegate, and walk away. She has to dump her book first, and she's very slow, so I don't know if this is going to take in time, but there is no one else in front of bar at us as we approach. We're getting inspects done in the meantime. Our character, the one we're delegating to, Sorry, goes to the far right side. I don't know if this is going to take a time. It could be very, very close. 2 inspects done. Purloin about to come off or not. Down to the wire. The shark's tail still covering it. The timer expires 2 seconds before. Oh, man.
That's got to hurt. That's got to be a real upset there. And
yeah.
you've got to think, if that had come off, the suspicion there is going to be absolutely minimal on Green Dress. So
yes,
absolutely devastating there to see that missed out. Would have left just a statue to do. We do get the double agent coming off right there, the contact of the double agent. So we're now needing one more statue visit and then something else, maybe hoping for an opportunity for bug right here. Then, in fact, actually, it's going to come off. Or is it? Yes, it is indeed going to come off there. And straight into our statues, finish up our inspects. Can we get this done before we are found by the sniper? It looks like it's going to be good. We don't have any heat, and I'm wrong.
Yep, there it is. No, That is the waiting until finish that we mentioned earlier. So there is mission counting, right? Are they done with missions? But it's also, if they're finishing their inspects, there's going to be 5 or 6 seconds until they get the second one, and then a full 10 seconds until I have to shoot. But we're not going to wait the full 10 seconds because they might run behind a shark. So you see Wobble snap over at pretty much the first moment they could be in mission win countdown. So there's sort of a wait for missions, and then there's a wait within missions as well. And Wobble shows a lot of discipline and judgment there. I think the difficult fingerprint might have drawn even more attention to it, and I think that bug was suspected as well. But I also think you're right. That purloin, if it had taken earlier, would have been absolutely devastating. That's the risk of getting it right near the end of that timer. If it might not take it all, but if it does, it's that much worse. And think about the number of variables involved. We delegated to a person with a book, so they had to get rid of it. We delegated to one of the slowest characters in the game, so they took a while to get there. And that character chose the far right pad also. If any of those 3 things are not true, that probably comes off.
They're also the fact that we delegated behind covers, so the fact that we're delegated at all is going to be not particularly noticeable. So I feel that's really unfortunate for Nanthelas that they've not managed to pull off a win there. Does bring the scores to 6-2. So Wobble now, I believe, if the scoring system is the same, is it 1 for a draw and 2 for a win? Wobble going to be guaranteed a point out of this heat. All Nanthelas can do at this point is a little bit of damage limitation and hope for a tie at 6 apiece. But Wobble coming in as the spy, playing as Helen Mirren, a.k.a. Pearls, a.k.a. White Dress, the slowest character in the game as we come to Courtyard, formerly Courtyard 2. And Wobble is going to be playing as the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Courtyard, one of the original maps. As you mentioned, there was a Courtyard 1, there was a Courtyard 2, and Courtyard 2, the better of the two, no doubt, became the basis for Courtyard. That is a cheese flirt from Wobble early in the game. We join the conversation, we get a green flirt, and we walk away right away, and there is no indication that was seen. A lot of spies certainly like to do that until they're caught. And I could see Wobble coming right back in, trying to 2-flirt this. And if they do, watch out. Even though she's slow, it might be a rush. That is a 2-flirt. This opens up all sorts of opportunities to rush before Nanthelas can even react. And remember, this is a sniper who's missed multiple hardtails and shaken their camera in frustration twice as a result already. I don't see any reason not to rush this. And Wobble seems to agree. There's another green.
Holy cow, we are not wasting any time here.
This is going to be inspect swap. It might be a green, it might not, but either way, even if Nanthelas catches it, unless they see it happen on screen, they're going to be taking lowlights and waiting for some kind of finish that's never going to come. There's the inspect. There's
a green as well.
It's a green, so even if they catch this, they're going to have 10 seconds to shoot, and they're going to have to decide that the spy is done before wanting to shoot, and that's a lot to ask. Wobble's going to not walk across the venue. They're going to stay on that side. Let's see who gets pulled over. There's a fake to distract.
As well. Oh my god! Nanthelas is going. This is just the most.
There's also we are flexing left and right. The light knocks out the statue swapper. Another fake. Another fake. We are absolutely styling here. That is going to be basically a 5th mission coming off as the mission win countdown completes. Wow, what a statement from Wobble.
Nanthelas there is going to be absolutely spitting feathers off the back of that. That is one of the most beautiful. I mean, I was going to crack a joke about, I wonder what the hell she is saying to the seduction target to seduce her so quickly. I mean, that was an impressive seduction. So, I mean, 2 greens in the space of what must have been 25 seconds. And then just that rush on the mission there, and really an absolute statement being there. 4 completed missions with a 5th one imminently about to be completed. In fact, completed just as the timer expired. 5 missions there. Just terrific play there from Wobble, and Nanthelas really left in the dust. And with that, that is going to be a victory for Wobble, currently at 7-2. Nanthelas cannot come back from this particular match now. So maybe a little bit of tilting going on here. I don't know. I mean, you're probably better placed to comment on players who tilt in this game. I know I've always been a very, very tilty player in this game if something goes wrong. And at this point, when the stakes are off, except for tiebreakers, I don't know if that's more likely to make a player act more rashly, more conservatively. What's your sort of view on this?
It's player to player, certainly. But in this case, you could see that, nonetheless, the problems tended to compound. You react to one hardtail, the next was already happening. You did ask, by the way, what could she have possibly said? It's my experience that Helen Mirren doesn't have trouble seducing anyone. So makes a lot of sense there. A lot of people in chat asking, is that purloin an accident while they were trying to do the spam the fakes? I think that's very plausible. There were 7 fake contacts at the end of that game, by the way, with the swap and purloin both pending. So at that point, Nanthelas knows something's up, but the match is essentially already over. I'm actually going to leave this to you and Wrestler. I probably should have asked you beforehand, but do we want to cast the rest of this one, or do we want to move on to the Lithuanian showdown?
In however you want. I mean, it's your choice, really.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Sure.
Okay, I was going to say, why don't we play out this courtyard at least?
Okay.
So that we've got balance, and then
I
we'll
like that.
go the last map, and that's a good compromise. And we'll
I like it. Yeah.
and then we'll get on to Lithuania versus Lithuania.
Well, you own this game then, so why don't you count this one in too?
Okie dokie. So we've got Nanthelas playing as the Kane, Papa Danger, aka Papa Danger. Kane, very useful character when it comes to bugs, an almost invisible bug that they have with that left hand. Let's see if Nanthelas can salvage something out of this match playing in 3, 2, 1, playing it. We're going to start off by just having a little wander, and into an empty conversation circle. We're just going to waste some time here. So, Nanthelas probably in real time trying to regain some composure after that whirlwind of a previous frame up against Wobble's spy here. So, probably just looking to catch their breath for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's been Wobble's whole MO this entire match. It is how they like to play in general, and they really ramped it up even more than usual here against Nanthelas. And I can see that. You know, again, I mentioned an experienced sniper, but maybe a little on the rusty side. It makes sense. You want to test them. You want to test their reflexes. You want to test their reactions. You do it the first time, it works pretty well. So why don't you do it a second time? Well, it worked again. So why not one more time? And that's the one that clinches it.
Yeah. Right now, we've not really got a lot going on. Seduction target nowhere to be seen. I mean, we could be possibly gearing up to get a bug off here, but no, we go the other way around through presumably trying to avoid some heat. We're going to head round and just look out into the grass, into the park. Maybe starting to think at this point, Nanthelas is going to be trying to induce a shot in somebody else because, although no, we do get a time ad there, getting us 45 seconds onto the match with the time ad. Doesn't look like it's been seen as of yet, coming right as it ticked over to the next minute, so we don't hear that beep, only conspicuous by its absence at this point. And we are still just chilling out. We're going to request a drink from Toby and not take it. And we're just going to continue to wait. Maybe at this point we might want to start thinking about getting some backup. So maybe getting a couple of potential flirts in. But if we're just trying to keep the heat down, it looks like we are heading towards the seduction target at this point. And I'm wrong again. Again, we're just going to check our watch, get a green time ad this time, which is going to add further confusion to this match. Yeah, so the timer for the sniper view is going to start to slow down. The spy view will show the full time, and for the benefit of the viewers watching tonight, if you've not seen this game before, those are the two respective times up in the top right corners. So Nanthelas now got to be thinking, I've got all the time in the world. Does he still want to try and induce a shot, which seemed to be the strategy he was going for here? He is going to start making some headway with stuff with that white contact coming off, but unfortunately the double agent just leaving the conversation before that can take. We do manage to get a head start on our flirt, though, up to 44%. Looks like a green flirt from the opposite side of the circle. So we have got some mission progress, but we've got a lot of time in the bank. And Wobble probably feeling a certain amount of frustration here if they've missed those time ads and wondering what on earth is going on. Possibly more likely to induce a shot, thinking time ads have happened and mission count could force their hand at some point before the end of the match. I mean, what's your thinking? There's not, apart from that, second flirt coming off here, not really much to report.
When I said it was your game, I didn't necessarily intend for you to cast all of it, but you're doing a fine job. That seems to be how you've taken it.
Got to be carried away.
It was very smooth, very nice. Yeah, I like what you say. Conspicuous by its absence with that little time ad beep, kind of like the dog that didn't bark in the famous Arthur Conan Doyle story, is how I think of it. There's a red test fingerprint, by the way, on a difficult. That's the thing about time ads, right? Like, they could be so you can try to finish, but I would say normally in a situation like this, you're right, they actually are in aid of the frame. Give more AIs, in particular on Courtyard, a chance to finish those inspects.
And the timer just catching up with itself here at a minute and a half to go. We have finished our seduction, but with nothing else yet on the roster. It's either going to be a rush finish or we are putting all our eggs in the basket. Opportunity maybe to try and force someone, though, of course, we haven't got the delegate option to do a hard induction of shot, but a green swap here pushing someone else in. I think one of the strategies that can be very, very powerful here is actually to pick someone at the beginning who is being the most sus, who's being the most suspicious, and then force them into doing something like the drink take a green test on taking a drink.
Yeah, to stand next to them with a green purloin and hope they take for you or something. Yeah,
something in that ilk. Can I say we've got Alex back here at statues now.
That might have been the goal, but instead it was a white purloin, and it is seen right now. And here comes some low lights. Nope, Wobble is not really reacting. Not yet. But the Purloin is showing 30 seconds of contact has gone off, but I think they're confident that none of the maybe inspectors, none of the highlights could have done it. So they're going to wait this out. Here it comes. Nanthelas walks by the Ambassador without bugging, and I don't see anything other that you could do here other than go to the other statues or to the windows, and it is to the other statues, and I think Wobble's going to be all over this.
We're going for a double inspect. Oh, Queen coming in to take the other statue. Does he get it in time before she picks it up?
Swap instead.
He does. Oh, but we go for the swap. And it's not been seen. He is covering it, and it has been seen. And he takes a bullet for it. And that's a real shame. You say that. You got to think, when you get away with that much time out at the beginning, you always feel for the Spy slightly when they don't get away with it. But Wobble, again, just showing a terrific amount of discipline there and not forcing a shot, waiting patiently and thinking they're not making the most of this time ad. They're just going to sit and wait and hope for me to shoot someone else. Not taking the bait. Wobble there, not taking the bait, and just catching that swap with 2 seconds left, 1.5 seconds left, and Papa Danger gets added to the casualty list, and it's another victory for Wobble, finishing 8-2. Do we know what the final score ended up being? Or
yeah,
is that
actually, Nanthelas sweeps the last 2 pub games and it finishes 8-4 for tiebreaker purposes, just so you all know. But either way, a resounding victory for Wobble.
Yeah, really good stuff from both players there, actually. Very, very entertaining watching some really big moments. Both of those red contacts as well, both coming off with Seek. Very, very interesting scenario, and actually something I've not become accustomed to, actually, when you see players of this higher level. But it just goes to show that those action tests, they can be punishing no matter how long you've been playing this game. And by the same token, they can still be missed by the sniper, possibly because they're not expecting them so much. But yeah, both situations, the coffer in question, I think, getting away with it. Very entertaining match indeed.